share something with you. The thing like this came to my head, the Shavuos. I don't know if it's my own. I don't know if I heard it. If I did hear it, then tell me. You know, there's a posting. It says like this: "B'chol ha'am ro'im zakolos," and all the people heard the voices, saw the voices. There's a lapidim. They saw the voices. They saw the fire. Those, how would you say lapidim in English? It wasn't fire, just like fire coming out.
Brimstone.
Brimstone? Nah. Brimstone, lapidim. Lapid means torches, you know, fires. Let's call a shofar and the blowing of the trumpet. So, I don't know, second night Shavuos, I thought of it. It's so good that if it's my own, it's the greatest. And if it's not my own, then I humbly say it's someone else, but I don't know. When I thought of it, I thought it's tremendous. So like this. V'chol ha'am ro'im zakolos, they saw the voice on Mount Sinai. There's the lapidim, and they saw the fire of Auschwitz. All the fires we're going through. Let's call a shofar and the blowing of the great trumpet. That means if you are a Mount Sinai person, you just got to see the whole picture. You know, we became people on Mount Sinai. This isn't it, you know. At the moment you want to be a Jew, you have to connect yourself to the whole thing. God's voice on Mount Sinai and the fires we go through. But ultimately, you have to hear also the blowing of the trumpet. Otherwise, you're also not a good Jew. The whole thing. You have not only just to hear it, you have to see it. You have to see it. Otherwise, you don't know. Otherwise, you don't understand what's going on. You know what I said to someone? I said, maybe there are great prophets with their eyes, but today we need prophets with ears. It's not enough to see, you know? You gotta hear, you know? You see, on Mount Sinai we were prophets on voices also, you know? Not only on whatever's visual, we were prophets on voices, you know? It means we had prophetic eyes and prophetic ears. Gotta be something. Let's put it this way, you know? I say sad things. I see a lot of holy Jews are plugged in to hear God's voice on Mount Sinai, but they're absolutely not plugged in to hear the blowing of the great trumpet. Then you see today, sadly enough, a lot of kids walking around colleges who are plugged in hearing the great trumpet. But you know something? They cry over Hiroshima, but they're not crying over the 6 million Jews. They're not plugged into the fire of Auschwitz. And with all due respect, you know, between you and me, take all the folk singers in America, they sing over Hiroshima, Biafra. With all due respect to Pete Seeger, did any of the American folk singers ever make up a song over the 6 million? No. And us Jewish kids are silent, right? We're wiping off our long noses and we're silent, talking about peace. Because nobody plugged them in properly, you know? It's heartbreaking. You know, most of our Jewish kids, they have no character whatsoever. They're holy souls. They're plugged in to the blowing of the great trumpet. It's true, you know? But sometimes it's heartbreaking how little character they have. You know? Nothing. They walk on all four. Mamish walk on all four and lick the dust of other people, and then they kick them in their mouth and they still lick them. And you know something? The non-Jewish world can't stand anymore licking Jews. They're sick and tired of it. I hate to tell you bad things because of some. Hope some of you will be forgiving me. I met this Reform rabbi, so he looks at me, but not the new Reform rabbi is already a good man, but the old-fashioned Reform rabbi, you know, he looks at me, and someone introduced me to him, so says to him, this is Rabbi Carlebach. He looks at me, you know, you could hear his voice, he's trained for funerals, so he says to me, you are a rabbi too? I say, brother, maybe you are a rabbi too, you know, rabbi too, you know. But anyway, you know, those old-fashioned, you know, rabbis, they thought the more we lick, the more the world will like us. You know, it's not so bad anymore, it's getting better, but just open the newspapers, Hanukkah. What are the rabbis talking about? About Christmas. Why doesn't one bishop sometimes talk Christmas about Hanukkah? You know something? One great, I heard it was announced in the New York Times. The rabbi starts a speech like this: Kol Nidre Night. Kol Nidre Night. Once a year, Yidalach coming to shul want to be a little bit Jewish. So he begins a speech like this. Kol Nidre is written in classic Aramaic. He says this is a language which was Jesus addressed his apostles. You know, this is very sweet. I have nothing against Jesus. But once a year, Yom Kippur night, you're coming to shul and you cannot stop being a goy. The sugar of Torah, you know. And what do you think? Now I'll tell you something very strong. This rabbi has 2 children. It's unbelievable. You know? One of them just converted and became something else because after his father. The other one was so disgusted with his father he decided maybe I'll find out what a Jew is on my own. You know? He went to Jerusalem and he's living now in Meishor, has long payas. You know? So his father is like this. The other son who converted, you know, still, you know, his father's proud of him, you know. But remember, the other one who's in Meishor, his father kicked him out from the house. But he's one of the leading rabbis, especially he's in charge of, he's on the youth commission. Biggest joke in the world. Okay, now I have to tell you something. I'm not only knocking Reform, I'm knocking Orthodox also, but it so happened at this point tonight I decided on Reform, you know. Everything is wrong, you know. We are not plugged in, we are not plugged into everything. It has to be, I think this verse Emma says, "V'cholo amroim sakoilis." All of you has to hear it. V'cholo. The all of you. It's not enough just to be a part-time Jew. The all of you has to be a Jew. The all of you. And I'll tell you one thing, if the all of you is a Jew, your children are Jewish also. And not only that, you know, I think I told him about Leibowitz, you know, when I was in Germany, you know, after the concert was over, not this time, the last one was in Germany. It was a big thing and everything was televised, you know. You have to understand, in Germany, those kids, forgetting about the old people, the young kids, they really want to know, who is a Jew? What kind of a thing is that we killed 6 million? Who is this, you know? Okay, they feel guilty about it, but at least want to know, who is it? So sadly enough, I don't have to tell you what kind of Jews they meet, you know? Heartbreaking, you know? Gangsters, thieves, you know? It's heartbreaking, you know? It's really a Chil Hashem, you know? Anyway, so after the concert was over, we went to like a little restaurant. I ordered some coffee and some grapes. And everybody was watching me, you know? And then there was like my top man, a student, a non-Jewish student. He says to me, Shlomo, you know, he says, I'm so happy you eat kosher. I'm so happy. I was so afraid that you don't eat kosher. I was so afraid that you don't. Can you imagine? And he says to me like this, he says, 2 weeks ago, there was an Israeli violinist here. And, you know, they wanted to greet him to show him that, you know, our respect. After that, we took him to a restaurant, and he ordered a ham sandwich. He says, I want you to know it cut my heart right through. How can a Jew eat ham? This comes from a little non-Jewish student who doesn't know anything. You know who knows what a Jew is? Or a holy Jew? Or a non-Jew also knows what a Jew is. Tell you. Strange. Strange world, strange world, strange world. You know, again, you know, it's so heartbreaking because you talk to some good rabbis, holy Jews, and they're not, and they think we can still live in a world without non-Jews. We're living in a world where we have to bring the message. You know, I'll tell you something else with that Jew, something very strong. The Gemara tells us that before God gave us a Torah on Mount Sinai, He asked the whole world to accept the Torah. They didn't want to. The only ones who came were us Jews. So the question is, the deep question is, I mean, God offers, let's say, the Chinese the Torah, and they say, no, God knows before what they're going to answer. And there are thousands of answers. But I put it simply like this. You know what kind of a Torah God gave us? You know, whatever God does, He does always, you know. It's not that before Mount Sinai God was begging the world, can you please receive it? He's still begging. That means when I receive the Torah on Mount Sinai, I become God's voice to the world. Will you please receive the Torah? Because, you know, on a yeshiva's level, I would say the chefza of Torah is that you have to ask the world. You know, this is the chefza of Torah. If I receive the Torah and I say, you know, damn the world, I don't hear God's voice either. And we never had a chance. You know, for 2,000 years we Jews were not heard. That's the truth. The world wanted to kill us. They didn't want to hear us. Right now, the world wants to hear us. They really want to hear us. But they don't want to come to shul and hear about Christmas. They have this enough in their own churches. They want to come to shul, they want to know what Hanukkah is. And you know, when we talk Pesach, what do most rabbis talk about? Freedom. Freedom they hear somewhere else. They want to know what Pesach is. You know what I said this Pesach? I said something very strong. You know who needs freedom the most? Freedom. The idea of freedom is so crippled and so enslaved. Pesach needs freedom. We got to make Pesach free again, because we made it disgusting, you know. Has no taste anymore. It's completely tasteless already. What are we making out of Shabbos? A little Sunday, right? A day of rest. Going to the beauty parlor, playing golf, and everybody says this is the day of rest. It's not a day of rest. Absolutely not. It's called Yomed Nishmose. It's the day when my soul speaks to me. Where does it say rest? You know what means Shavas Vayinofash? Shavas means he returned to his roots. Vayinofash, and he returned to his soul. Vayinofash. Vayinofash means he put a nefesh into it. He gave the world a soul. So we think on Shabbos I'm resting. I'm resting, I'm stopping from all the things I don't have to do, or from all the unimportant things, you know. Shabbos, one day a week, I know I have a soul, and I'm putting a soul back into my life. Sure, I'm resting from business, but it's not the day of rest, because this isn't where it's at. And today it's unbelievable. The world is so hungry for souls, you know. The world realizes one thing, that science only destroys the world, you know. Literature, with due respect to all the books, the Germans read all the books in the world and they're still killed, you know. And in Washington, a lot of people, they know every bestseller in the world, they know Reader's Digest by heart, and they don't give a damn about people who will be killed. So reading books doesn't help. You can have a PhD in medicine and swear you'll help all the people when you still go out and kill and don't give a damn. I spoke to a great doctor. He tells me the truth is that 97% of all operations could be avoided. But they make more money on operations, so they don't mind cutting a few people. He says 97%. It's a great doctor, without mentioning names, you know. And he wanted to start a new movement against operations. So, you know, so the mamish, right now, you know what they made out of him? He can't get a job. He's a male nurse now. Because he can't get a job as a doctor because they banned him. One of the greatest doctors in the world, without mentioning names. So this doesn't help. So the world knows there has to be something. The world is waiting for a soul. Shavas Vayinofash. So here the world thinks that maybe we Yiddelach know the secret. You know, the world is looking for us. You see, you can kill a body, you cannot kill a soul. Obviously we have a soul because the world is killing us for 2,000 years, we're still here. That means we are soul people. So they come to us and they tell us, okay, Yiddelach, can you sell me a little bit soul? But they want to hear it. They really want to hear it from us. And they cannot understand what we are waiting for. And our children want to hear it too, you know. Okay, this is half vision, it's half Aryeh, a little bit. Let's sing this one. Come back, we need your love. Come back, we need your peace. Come back, we need your love. Come back, we need your peace. Till the end of the world, I will walk to find you through the darkest night and sun. Till I find you, and
Shlomo, could you possibly tell the story that you told last Sunday night about if you're in the mood, I know,
Which one?
if you turned on to that, about when they came to the, I don't remember which ghetto it was, but they told them they had 3 days to
Ah, it's
prepare
the greatest
themselves.
story in the whole world.
Yeah, if you don't, because I have to convince someone that they really have to read these stories because they're really
Okay, let's sing this one first. La, 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 Okay, the story is that you know, I have to tell you something very deep, friends. You know, I always feel it very strong. Whenever I tell stories about the 6 million, you know, I'm not, you might think I'm crazy, but somehow I'm not telling it to tell you how bad the world is. Because this isn't in it. I just want to tell you how holy those people were. Because if you ever want to save the world, it is only by telling the world how strong people were despite all the evil. So I have to tell you how evil the world is also in a certain way, but this isn't the point. The point is how strong people can be completely surrounded by evil. People can be in hell and make their own heaven. This is what it is. Anyway, the story is that in Zalashitz, it's unbelievable, a little Hicktown Zalashitz, and there were exactly 1,000 Jews left. So the Nazis told them that, most of the selections were always done on Shabbos, So they said that Shabbos, 12 o'clock, they have to be in the marketplace, and they told them, Auschwitz, we're taking you to Auschwitz, a beautiful city, and everybody has their own radio, and all this stuff. Everybody, take everything you have, don't leave anything behind. Take all your money and everything, Make sure you bring all your money. And all your belongings, and be on the marketplace 12 o'clock. Okay, the Yiddish were not that stupid anymore. They knew Auschwitz is not the summer vacation. And they also knew that tell us to bring all our belongings, just so they won't have to search for it after that. We're coming to the marketplace. They throw us into a station wagon, drive us off to the train, and that's it. They weren't stupid anymore. But anyway, they made a meeting in the synagogue, and they just wanted to. They were thinking, what should we do those 3 days? What should we do? We have 3 days. So there was the rabbi there, he gave a big speech, and the president, but they weren't completely plugged in. And there was a little Yidele, a tailor. He was called Yochanan, the Hinkendicke tailor, the Hinkendicke Schneider. He was limping, the limping tailor. And somehow everybody had a feeling about him that he is one of the Lamed Tzaddikim. He's one of the 36 hidden people, but somehow, and I guess even Lamed Tzaddikim, there's a time to speak up. And this little Yochanan, who never opened his mouth, suddenly got on the beamer and said to the people, what do you mean what we should do for 3 days? They have to celebrate. If there was ever a time for a Jew to celebrate, it's right now. Because he says, is anybody here who would like to be one of them? Anybody here would like to stay alive, remain alive, and become one of them? No. I'd rather die 1,000,000 times than be one of us. He says, we got to make for 3 days Yom Tov, Mamash Yom Tov. When he said it, he lifted up their souls like maybe nobody ever before, maybe till Mashiach, nobody will do it like Yochanan, the Hinkendicke Schneider. So for 3 days, they had Yom Tov, Mamish, they had Yom Tov. They davened Yom Tov Shmona Esrei. Everybody was dressed up for 3 days. They came to shul, were dancing. On Shabbos morning, they came to shul early. They were all dressed in white like Yom Kippur. And they davened fast Shachris, Musaf. 12:30 they had to be in the marketplace. 11 o'clock they davened Nile, last Shmona Esrei. 11:30 Yochanan, who, if he was one of the Lamed Tzaddikim before, maybe he became the high priest of the world in those 3 days. He opened the Holy Ark, he took out the Torah, and he says, I swear in the name of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, in the name of all generations before me, in the name of all generations who will be after me, I swear that I'm ready to die for God's name. And all the people swore, and then they all danced to the marketplace. They danced to the marketplace. The Germans always knew when they make a selection, everybody comes down, they were dancing. You know what it is? After the 6 million, we have to dance all the time. And thank God we can dance, and we know we don't have to go to marketplace in 3 days. Just the very fact, thank God, I am one of the people who does not kill. The greatest thing in the world. I want to share something with you. I told it already to Rabbi Leibowitz, but Anyway, it just came to my head. You know, Pesach, without getting into a long thing, there's a pasuk, it says, Ani Rishon v'ani Achron. God says, I'm the first and I'm the last. So there's a medrash. The medrash says like this. What do you mean God is the first and God is the last? God says, I am with the first and I am with the last. So I want to share this with you. I told you Rabbi Leibowitz already. Maybe he told it to you already. I took just as an example as the first Jew and the last Jew, Koznitz. In this one town, Koznitz, there was a big rabbi who was the Holy of Holiest, and also there was a mayor, a Jewish mayor. But anyway, he was converted, because in Poland you can become a mayor of a city if you're a Jew. He converted, became a Catholic, hit it very big. Okay. Let me first tell you the story of the first Jew. In Koznitz, there were 4,000 Jews. So they divided them up. The first 2,000 Jews with the Rebbe were sent to Auschwitz. The Rebbe arrives in Auschwitz, they take him to the gas chambers. He walks together with 2,000 Yidden. And the Rebbe, he was just so high, Gewalt. So the Rebbe looked up and he says, oh, what a beautiful day. What a beautiful day. The Rebbe didn't lose touch with nature for one split second. So the Chassidim said, Rebbe, just couldn't imagine. You have 5 more minutes to go and you think it's a beautiful day? Someone said to the Rebbe, what are you thinking about? He says, what I'm thinking about, he says, I think, he says, what a privilege. Our ashes will clean the whole world. Our ashes will clean the whole world. That's the first Jew. The last Jew is like this. The other 2,000 Jews in Koznitz, they decided to bring them in the synagogue and just burn them alive. Everybody was in that synagogue, and this is told by an eyewitness who happens to be jumping out of the window in the last moment, and he took off. He's living now in Israel. He was there. He says everybody was there, and there was a little fire burning on the beaming, in the middle of the shul. And suddenly we hear like, they're beating somebody up, and they drag in Nebuch, this little convert, this little Yidale, this mayor. And the Nazis are beating him up. He's just completely covered with blood. He's half dead already. And they tell him each time they hit him, they say, okay, say I'm not a Jew, we let you go. He doesn't say it. Shh, bang. He says again, say I'm not a Jew, I'll let you go. He wouldn't say it. This little low last Jew was so strong, can you imagine? Finally, they drag him up all the way to the bima, and one Nazi takes out the Torah, and he says to him, if you throw this in the fire, I'll let you go. So he says, with his last strength, he says, this is the holiest thing in the world. How could you have thrown it in the fire? Now listen, friends, to this unbelievable height this little Yidala reached in a few minutes. You know what they did? They took the Torah and this little mayor, and together they threw them in the fire. Which is the highest level that you can possibly reach. Can you imagine? The last Yidala, Holy of Holiest. Amish the Holy of Holiest. That means he had it with him all the time. There was just nobody there to bring it out. But you know what's so heartbreaking? Okay, after the 6 million. This Yidala died 1 million times not to say, I'm not a Jew. And what are we teaching our children? For them, it's nothing. They're ashamed to say, I'm a Jew. He was ready to die 1 million times not to utter the words, I'm not a Jew. And how do we say, I am a Jew? With how much pride. And I'm talking now this disgusting, say, I'm proud to be a Jew. I'm not talking about this kind, which is meaningless. I really mean this is holy pride. It's holy glory. I am a Jew. I heard God's voice on Mount Sinai. I know what's going on. Nothing. We got to do it. Brothers, sisters, where's Sister Jackie? Is asleep already? Okay. Sister Jackie's in top form. Okay, let's sing one more song.
Yes.
La 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 Just join me once more. Shalom. Okay, thank you, holy water carriers. Thank you, holy beggars. Thank you. First Hidalah and last Hidalah. Because we are both. Thank you, friends. Be strong, be strong, be strong. Hashem Oiz Lama Yitain. You know what I always say? The people, the world thinks in order to bring peace to the world, you have to be weak, compromise. It's not true. To make war, you compromise. To bring peace, you have to be strong like a lion. Hashem Oiz Lama Yitain. Hashem Yiborach Sama V'Sholom. Not weakness, not compromising. Strong to the utmost. There can't be any other way. This is how it has to be. There has to be peace. Strongest strength, holy strength. Listen, when I love somebody and I'm fighting with them, I'm weak. How can you fight with someone you love? If I'm strong on what I believe in, if I'm strong on loving, I'm not fighting. Yeah, I might be strong on my ideas, but not on my loving, you know. I'm strong on my soul, strong on what I'm really, you know. I'll tell you something, then we gotta go. I hate to leave you, you know. I'll tell you a way out story, you know. Nachman Breslover, teaches us all the time that we are born to learn a new song. Did I tell you the story about the new song? Yeah. We are born, you know the story? We are born to learn a new song, So he says when you come up to heaven, the first thing the angels ask you, did you learn a new song? Okay, so this Breslover Chosetel Nebuch was drafted in the war between Russia and Japan. Nebuch, he didn't love the Russians, he didn't hate the Japanese, but Nebuch, he was drafted. A little Moishal, what can he do, And they bring him Nebuch to the forefront with a gun, and he doesn't feel like shooting because he really doesn't believe in killing people. But he walks around with a gun, what can you do? Then comes like the real action, you gotta get it. But Moishal thinks of something else. Listen to this, the Breslover Chosetel, that's a true story. He thinks, if I'm here in the forefront, I gotta learn a new song. The Russian songs I know. That means I'm here to learn a Japanese song. Then I'll come back to the Bais Medrash, and I'll teach them a Japanese song. So this is unbelievable, the holiness, Around him shooting, Moshe makes his way through, he wants to get to the other side to hear a song. Anyway, Moshe, the people are so much into fighting, they don't notice that there's someone they're walking around without fighting. Those days was man-to-man fight. Moshe walks around, Finally, Moshe comes to the other side, and the Japanese really have beautiful melodies, So Moshe listens to the song, he takes off his gun, he sits on the grass and he says, "Ay, Rabbeinu Shalom, what a melody. What a melody." Shalom, brother.
Great.
Friends, on the great day, we'll get over to the other side. We'll listen. Good Shabbos, Lillian. Bye, sugar. Shabbos, folks.
See you tomorrow morning.
Learn a new song, folks.
10 o'clock tomorrow.
Shir Chadash.
A new song.
Put a little light on it.
Okay, folks. Thank you, brothers.
Thank you, Shalom.
Thank you, holy braggers.
How can we ever thank